Well, welcome to the Headless DAM with Cloudinary Bootcamp course. I am Marcelo Lewin, the Headless Creator, and also your host throughout this entire bootcamp. If you have any questions, as always, get a hold of me right there, marcelo@headlesscreator.com. In this interview with Akshay Ranganath, Senior Solution Architect at Cloudinary, and a presenter in this bootcamp, you're going to learn all about video streaming and adaptive bitrates. It's going to be a great interview. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get him in. Akshay, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Hi, Marcelo. Great to be here.
So you're with Cloudinary, and you're going to be talking all about adaptive bit rates in your lesson coming up, right? But before we do that, why don't you give us a little bit about your background? Tell us how you got into technology, where are you located, that kind of stuff.
Sure. Hey, everyone. I'm Akshay Ranganath. As Marcelo mentioned, I'm a Senior Solution Architect at Cloudinary. I've been with Cloudinary for about 3.5 years. I have been in professional services for over 14 years now. I used to work at Akamai just before this. As you know, it's a content delivery network.
Yeah.
I worked in different roles. I started as a solution architect, then became a web performance consultant. So I used to take a look at websites and go to the customers and see how we can speed that up. So that's been my profile. Right now, I work out of the Santa Clara office. So I'm located in the Bay Area. I live in Fremont.
And how did you get into technology? I mean, what attracted you to technology in general?
Sure. So this is when I was in India. In the school they introduced us to computers, and then I don't know if people even remember this. There used to be this programming language called Logo, and you basically draw stuff. And they introduced us to that, and then Basic. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. I can draw stuff because I'm terrible in actually drawing. And this kind of piqued my interest. And somehow we ended up getting a 486 computer with all of 32 MB RAM. And I just got hooked on.
Our 486, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's
Well,
a
hey,
DX2.
that was
486
pretty
DX2.
advanced. I've been with computers since the Commodore VIC-20 within, 8086, I think it is. So I went through the 8286, 8386, 8486, all of them, Pentium, you name it. I'm old. But I can totally relate. That's awesome. That's awesome. So now at Cloudinary, you're working mainly with streaming media, or is that just part of what you end up doing there?
It's just one part of it. So as Cloudinary, we offer solutions for all media management. So that includes images and videos. But what we're seeing is, a lot of customers are actually moving towards hosting more and more videos. And it's also getting to be slightly longer. And that is where streaming kind of plays a bigger role. Because for short form videos, it's just easy to host and deliver.
Right. So let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about what's the difference between downloading a video, for those that aren't familiar with it, and streaming a video from a technology perspective and bandwidth perspective.
Sure. So, a regular video file, let's say you just shoot some video like what we are doing now, and it ends up being like a .moe format, and then you don't want to host it. It's too big. You transcode, you get an MP4, and then you start delivering, which is all fine. The issue is there is a single video file that you're going to deliver for everyone. Now, let's say you have recorded this on a 4K, and it's the same video that's going to everyone, regardless of whether the device even supports it or whether the network can even handle it. That's the biggest challenge. Now, and it's going to be big. So let's say you're on a phone, you don't really need such a big video to be delivered. When you switch to adaptive bitrate, what we are essentially saying is you take that single video file, convert it into different resolutions. Obviously, that changes the bit rate and it changes the size and so on. And you let the device choose which one it wants. So if you're on a phone, you get a much lesser resolution. That means you get a much smaller video. And if you're obviously on a desktop, which can support 4K, then you get the 4K version. But the cool thing is when we also do this transcoding, we are going to convert to a different codec which fits that device. So you actually get even more compression than just the plain MP4 that we started out with.
And also, I'm assuming if the internet is running slow, then it'll adapt also to a lower bit rate.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the most common thing users relate to with adaptive streaming. So when you turn on Netflix or Prime, the video when it first loads, you kind of see it very blurry, and then
Yeah.
it gets better, right? That's basically the device adapting to the
And
network
that's why
condition.
it's adaptive bit rate, because it's literally adapting to the conditions of the pipeline at that moment when it's delivering, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And the player is kind of built to do this job, as in it tries to not buffer the video,
Yeah.
make sure the video plays smoothly, even if it has to downgrade the quality. So that's the the balance that it tries to do.
And like you mentioned, like on Netflix and other streaming media, is when that's when you start seeing that pixelation at the beginning, especially in the darks, right? In the darks, you see them really, really well. And then as it plays, it starts to figure out, okay, what is the bandwidth? And we're sending you better and better as we can.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I know you're going to be doing an entire lesson on this, so people can look at it in the advanced section of this bootcamp. We're going to close up this interview because I always love to ask people their hobby. What's your favorite hobby, or do you have a hobby or?
Sure. Yeah. I guess two hobbies. I like to read a lot,
Okay.
and I also am into photography. So it
Oh,
kind of plays well into Cloudinary. So it's like my work is kind of a hobby. So
I love photography as well. Do you do digital photography, or are you still shooting in film?
no, I started with film, but then switched over.
Right.
Just getting it developed is a pain now.
Yeah.
So I just use a digital photographer, a digital camera.
Do you
And
have a
I'm a Nikon person.
DSLR or a
Yeah.
mirrorless? What do you have?
I haven't switched over to a mirrorless yet.
So
Still
DSLR.
exploring that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Still a
the Canon
DSLR.
probably, or Nikon. Are you a Canon or Nikon? That's a war for people.
I'm a Nikon person.
Oh my goodness, yeah, I was a Canon person. But I got to tell you, the best camera that I have, because I always carry it with me, right? They say the best camera is the one that's with you.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, definitely. Akshay, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. If people want to get a hold of you, that email right there is the best way.
That's one of the best ways. Or people can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can just search for my name and it'll show up.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Akshay. I appreciate it. And thanks to the rest of you for watching this interview. I hope you enjoyed it. Go check out his lesson down below where the advanced section is. You'll find it there, and it's a really, really good lesson. And as always, if you want to get a hold of me, right there, Marcelo at headlesscreator.com. See ya.